Jurrien Timber has been one of, if not the best right back this season. Well known for his incredible defensive ability, but what if I was to tell you that his evolution has actually come in an attacking sense? In today's video, we will be delving into Jurrien Timber's attacking qualities and why he has become a final third creation demon. But before I begin, if you are new here, please do subscribe and like, and of course a little pre-fire, but thank you for 1k subscribers. So we've obviously got a lot to get through, but I'm really excited because Jurrien Timber in the final third has been a revolution this season. I'm telling you that. I am definitely agreeing with that point of view because we'll firstly just look at this example, and obviously we're firstly looking at his crossing and his passing ability, then we'll get into his ball carrying, then we'll get into his positioning in the final third. I think we all know Jurrien Timber is an adequate, phenomenal 1v1 defender, but in this sequence, I really enjoyed his intent, and I kind of ask myself a lot of times when I'm looking at the things that Jurrien Timber are doing this season is, what would the old Jurrien Timber do? And in this scenario, as you can see, the arrow shows Declan Rice playing a pass to Jurrien Timber. And as this progresses, we'll sort of see Jurrien Timber receiving it. And you already can see the intent. What he's doing, he's already thinking about a delivery in the box. And this is where things have changed for Jurrien Timber. Because for me, the old Jurrien Timber, and this is no disrespect to the old Jurrien Timber whatsoever, we'll probably try and recycle it. We'll probably try and hold the ball for longer, maybe play it back as well to the defenders. There's so many different things I think the old Jurrien Timber would do. And certainly what he does here is not what I would expect Jurrien Timber of last season to do. He puts a phenomenal ball into the box. It truly is a phenomenal ball. And as we go in and we move on, here it is. The quality on this cross, I mean, it's such a shame it's not that clear, but there is the ball. And this is the thing with Jurrien Timber and why I'm so impressed, because his delivery into the box has always been really, really good, but he wasn't utilizing it enough. I don't know if it was because he didn't believe in himself. I don't know whether it was because he was worried it would give away possession, but whenever he's put a ball into the box, it has been dangerous. In all of these examples I'm going to show you, it's genuinely insane how good of a crosser he is. And here is maybe a slightly better angle of the cross and where it is, because look, it gave Gyökeres a free header, and he unfortunately did miss Gyökeres. But the intent straight away from Jurrien Timber, as we can see here, once he received that ball, was to straight away put it into the box. And that's a big change from last season already. Now we can sort of move on to another example, and this one is more so Jurrien Timber and his sort of passing ability. He's born in the Ajax Academy, so this isn't really surprising. It was just surprising that he didn't utilize it as much as last season. But I must say, this is a player that's just, flown after his ACL injury. It's actually quite insane how fit and incredibly durable he is in terms of he doesn't get injured for somebody that had a massive ACL injury. But in this sequence, as you can see, Madueke has the ball here, and he's going to fire it into Jurrien Timber in this pocket. And what I really love is how Jurrien Timber changes this into a possible negative action in terms of he could just lay that back into Zubimendi and just play from there. But this is what I mean when I say this is the old Jurrien Timber, because his first thought is, okay, he knows Madueke is making that run. And this is what I mean again, I'm going to say this multiple times this video. The old Jurrien Timber would recognize the run of Madueke, but he would still play this ball back in to Martin Zubimendi. But what he does is he uses his body, and he's really press resistant, and he can turn really well. His figure and the way he's built it just allows him to do so, but he never used to do it. But look at what he does. He turns with this ball. And look, he's now facing the play, and he's got options now. He can play it into there, he can play it into there. And when I've thought about the gap between Jurrien Timber and Ben White, it's always been in the attacking third. And I've always felt if Jurrien Timber can almost trust himself to play those passes, to play those crosses, it's going to be really difficult to get Ben White into the side ahead of him. And in the end, what you will see, I'm actually going to let you as a viewer sort of in your heads think, what pass do you think Jurrien Timber made? Do you think he played it in there? Do you maybe even think he played it back? Well, if you had said either of those, you'd be wrong, because Jurrien Timber plays a wonderful ball into Nodi Madueke. And it genuinely is a phenomenal pass. And I'm just letting you know, this was on his left foot. So again, he's trusting his feet, his left foot. The Jurrien Timber of old would think, okay, this is on my right foot, this is on my left foot. I don't want to play a pass with it. This Jurrien Timber, truly phenomenal. And the pass allows Madueke not to break stride. And you're thinking about your fullbacks influencing in the final third. Jurrien Timber is influencing in the final third. And as we move this a little bit onwards, we'll see where Madueke ends up. And ultimately, the quality isn't great because when you're looking in the box at the options that Noni Madueke has, he has Victor Gyökeres, he has Eze, and he has Declan Rice. He's got to think about lifting that ball into that area. And I know it's easy to draw lines. This is what we're talking about, end products. I think Saka would have probably done that, found a better quality ball into the box, and ultimately the sort of attack did die. But Jurrien Timber started that by being confident enough to play a pass with his left foot, confident enough to turn in the first place. And here we go, another action, and this was a situation where the ball was sort of fired into him, into that little pocket of space. And look at his positioning. Very, very nice. He's more inside. Madueke holding the width. But the Jurrien Timber of old, and I'll say this again, will probably just hold the ball and maybe try and play it back into Madueke and circulate it and try and maybe get him into a 1v1 situation. But he trusts himself this season. And this is what I mean. Because as we sort of move this a bit onwards, look at his body weight and how it shifts. He's thinking, let me be positive. The space is there. Let me go into it. And that's all what the top players do. It doesn't matter if you're fullback, if you're a defensive midfielder, if you're a right winger. You see space, you trust your ability. With Jurrien Timber, he's that good on the ball in terms of his press resistance and his carrying ability. You've got to do it. You've got to go into that space. And I'll have more examples of his carries. This is just one of them, to be fair. But what is impressive, actually, is the quality of delivery once he completes this carry. Look at the area he gets into. Really nice. He's opened up that space. He can keep going into there. Or what he does do is swing a ball into this area. And that is what you want to see from your fullback, making these attacking positive actions. And it's quite a shame, unfortunately, that the quality isn't great. But I'm sure you guys can see that the ball is there and it's Eze challenging, and that's a phenomenal ball. It genuinely is. The quality on these crosses are insane. It's almost asking and begging for attacker to get onto it. He's done everything right here. And I say it again for the 50 millionth time, the old Jurrien Timber probably wouldn't have done both of those actions I've just shown you. Now, again, we can sort of move on to another example, another game. And this was one of my favorites because, again, the old Jurrien Timber wouldn't think like this. Here he is on the ball. Old Jurrien Timber, maybe in there, get Madueke 1v1. But this is a new Timber, the evolved Jurrien Timber. What he does is he keeps on attacking that space, keeps on driving into it. And I think we can all see the space here, and it's such a shame in the terms of the quality. Again, I do apologize deeply for it. But here is Victor Gyökeres, and look at him. Gyökeres is going to make that run. But is Timber going to try and play that pass? That is the question. And the question is answered. He does it. He forces it into the channel. And look at the position it gets Victor Gyökeres in. This is a dream. 1v1, it asks Victor Gyökeres, can you go 1v1? Can you go on the outside? You've got Madueke there as well. It allows the centre forward to make the decision on his own and what he sees as best. And the ball just allowed him not to break stride as well. And as you do see, as we do a little bit more of an advance here, Gyökeres makes the decision to turn back and play it into Madueke. But again, that's a forceful action. That's 6 minutes in. You know, I say it again, the old Jurrien Timber will be thinking 6 minutes into this game, playing that ball, it's maybe risky. Could I lose possession? He's thinking, bang, let me play that into the channel. I have the quality to do so. I'm going to trust my ability. And that is such a positive in terms of that. And here again, we can move on to a sort of another example in terms of the passing ability of Jurrien Timber. Here he is on the ball in a lovely little area, to be fair, in terms of he's got options there in front of him. But what I like here is he goes for the ball over the top. You know, I'll go back to it here. The Jurrien Timber of old in there, maybe? That's what he would think. And I'm not disrespecting the old Jurrien Timber because he's a phenomenal player. But he was a more defensive-minded player. He thought, my job, I can defend, I'm happy. But now he's thinking, how can I influence the game? And as this develops, you'll see he does play the ball over the top towards the run of Noni Madueke. And it doesn't work. And this is why I wanted to show you, because this pass doesn't work whatsoever. But it's the fact he's trying it. It's dangerous. Anything can happen. Once you move the defenders backwards with the speed of Madueke, you've got a centre forward like Gyökeres that likes to run in behind. Those are the questions you want to be asking in a side like Arsenal, which are ball dominant, and you need to seek those opportunities to force the opposition backwards. And I really, really liked this sort of ball over the top from Jurrien Timber, and it's a mark of his sort of evolution at Arsenal. It genuinely is. As obviously, let's move on to the next example. It was a little bit of a glitch there, but here again, and I said I don't really want to be showing you him carrying the ball because I've got so many examples later down the line in this video. But here, the intent is wonderful. The way he carries this ball. But again, I told you this is about his delivery, his passes, and it's genuinely insane what he does. This is a final third brain. He says to himself, let me put it into the danger area. All you can do as a fullback is to beg the question to your forwards to get onto the end of these crosses. And that small little carry and the delivery itself, I mean, my word, it was so good. And this is what I mean in terms of Jurrien Timber's crossing ability and the lack of frequency he does these crosses is incredible. Like, if I had this crossing ability, I would be crossing the ball every single time. Genuinely. Here it is. There's the arrow showing where the ball is. And it forces the defender to have to put it out for a corner. Genuinely, look. This ball is booted out to a corner. I think it's Nunez, or is it Kusanov actually? Because it's that dangerous. Even the commentary was saying, what a phenomenal ball from Jurrien Timber. And I wouldn't have been saying this last season in the greatest respect to that version of Jurrien Timber. And here is another one in terms of his off-the-ball runs, and I know I'll talk about his positioning as well later on in the video, but he's asking those questions in the final third. These are the movements that Ben White was making. You know, understanding, okay, Eze's in that position, Saka's there, I'm out here. This triangle, can I force the issue? Can I move Doku backwards, who's not an orthodox fullback? Yes, he can. And you're looking at the quality and the power in the carry. And this is what I mean. I've shown you quality balls where it's from a standstill position against Atletico Bilbao, but also after he's carried, and this is when after he's made a sprint. And the quality of the ball, there's the arrow of the ball, is really good again. It begs the question. He's not running out of steam. His engine is there. It's really good. And that's where the ball is. Another day, Declan Rice towers over and wins that head and nods it in. But again, the quality into the danger area, you can't ask for much more as an attacking player than a ball like that in the box from Jurrien Timber. It's genuinely very, very exciting to see this. And obviously, this is, again, in the West Ham game, similar to Atletico Bilbao. So you're seeing a lot of repeats, but that's a great thing. If you're seeing things happen over and over again, it shows that this player has knuckled that down as a pure trait and a pure quality. Here, Jurrien Timber is going to just simply play a ball into that zone, and it's asking again for your attackers to attack the ball. Every ball that Jurrien Timber has put into the box, I felt an attacker could have done a lot more to get onto the end of it. And in the end, he does put it into that area. Nobody is close enough, and it's an easy header for Mavropanos. But where that arrow is, you need to have your forward attacking that space. Whether it is Gyökeres here, Marino there, or Martinelli, they can't let a ball like that go to waste because it's a lot of quality in there and the pace is on it, and you've got to be dueling with that defender. You can't make it an easy header whatsoever. But I really, really enjoyed that sort of cross from a standstill position. And again, like I said, when you're seeing a repeat scenario, what does that show? It shows that the player has knuckled that down as a pure trait. And there's Jurrien Timber on the overlap, asking questions. Madueke held this ball for such a long time, and Timber of old would have just been ball watching, but he's thinking, how can I influence in the final third? He goes on the carry as we see this develop, and here he is. The ball into the box is phenomenal yet again. I think you guys can all remember, look how close Declan Rice is to this ball here. It's genuinely quality. Every ball into the box has quality, and that's all you can ask for from Jurrien Timber. But again, after a sprint, after an off the ball run, he's still able to provide that quality, which is huge. It genuinely is huge. And again, here is another example in terms of his passing ability. I know we've done a lot of his crosses, and obviously I showed you that Bilbao example of his reverse pass to Madueke. But again, the Jurrien Timber of old isn't simply playing that switch. He isn't forcing the issue like this. But this is the new version of him, and look what he's doing. He's forcing that ball over the top, and he's allowing for Noni Madueke to go in a 1v1 situation. He's allowing for Calafiori to want to sniff out an underlap here. He's making things tick and forcing the issue in the final third, which is huge. It genuinely is huge. And here again, this is quite lovely. The assist he had for Saka, it may look like an easy pass, but the weight of it is phenomenal. It allows Saka to run onto it. Here we go, as we move on to the next example. Look at the pace on it as well. It's just so beautiful from Timber. He has this. He's always had the ability to do passes like this. But for whatever reason, last season, he didn't trust himself to do so. But it is a really, really good strike from Saka in the end, into that corner. But again, Timber asking the questions. That's what I want to be seeing. But let us now swiftly move on from the crossing to his carrying ability. And not the crossing only, but also his passing. But let's now move on to his carrying ability. And here is Jurrien Timber. And again, guys, you know what I'm going to say. What would the Jurrien Timber of old do? Maybe force a ball into there. Maybe try and see if he can go backwards. Maybe just hoof it down the line to Madueke, as we're now going to see Madueke come into the frame. So, yeah, there we go. Into that space. That's what the Jurrien Timber of old would do. But he's got a forward brain. He thinks, okay, I'm going to play that ball into there. But then what? Can I force the issue myself with a carry? Because I think carrying right now in football is such a great way to open up these different types of structures that are thrown at us. And as we can see, as this developed, look at the way that Jurrien Timber carries down the line. Look at the amount of grass he's sort of, eaten up. It's genuinely impressive. And we keep on accelerating this forward. Ultimately, look where he is. This defender is now coming out of shape. And another day, Jurrien Timber gets there first. He's got the option of the ball in there. He's got the option there. See, this is all from him forcing the issue with a carry. It's genuinely impressive. It really, really is. And of course, in the end, the defender does come across and deal with the situation. But he's forced the issue. He's got us up the pitch. He's had that final third attacking brain in him. And that is really a positive. I absolutely love that. And again, it's not just those long distance carries. This is small carries in and around the box, which he's forcing. The Jurrien Timber of old would have probably played the ball square here, would have probably waited for a Noni Madueke to get back onside into this area. But this is the new Timber. He's looking forward. He's saying, okay, can I force the issue with a small distance carry? And that's exactly what happens in this sequence. Just look at the way in which Jurrien Timber changes his body weight. He's completely out the game here. I think that's Reinders. He's out the game for a simple body swift. And that's why he's so pressure resistant, because he uses his frame so well. And he just attacks that byline. I don't mind it if he had lost this ball and in the end he wins a corner, which is phenomenal. But if Timber had done this carry and lost it and we would have got transitioned on, I wouldn't have minded whatsoever, because he's trying to force the issue in the final third. And this isn't something he was doing beforehand. But in the end, look how far he gets. He completely gets Reinders out of the game, like I showed you. And of course, in the end, obviously, it is a shame in terms of he isn't able to get the ball into the box, but he wins a corner. He creates a dangerous scenario, and we know how good we are from corners. Now let's move on again. This is against West Ham. This is Jurrien Timber in here. And again, this is the new version of Timber. He is recognizing the space in there. He's thinking to himself, can I get into there? Can I attack it? And as this sequence sort of develops, look at how many players he's going to take out the game with this carry. Here he is here, Jurrien Timber. Somerville is trying to chase him here. Paqueta, I think, is trying to chase him as well. But it's really, really good. I mean, towards the end of this carry, look what he does. He leaves Paqueta on the floor, Somerville in his wake. Then you're now asking, can you find a quality in there? Can you maybe play it into Declan Rice? But again, he's progressed the ball through carrying. He's progressed the ball through crosses. He's progressed the ball through passes by through balls. These are really, really good examples of Jurrien Timber in the final third being a threat. Now we can again move on. This is Nottingham Forest. I'm showing you multiple examples of Timber doing this to hone in on the fact that this is now part of his game. It's now something we can say Timber's great 1v1 lockdown defender, but he can carry, he can cross, he can pass, he can position himself well as well. And here, as this develops, we can see Look at the players that he sort of does take out the game. Callum Hudson-Odoi is now moving backwards. Jurrien Timber is advancing forward. And look at the area in which he gets into. And he fires that ball into Martin Zubimendi in that pocket of space. And now it's up to him to create the more intelligent and more final third thinkers to do their thing. And of course, Zubimendi gives it to Gyökeres, who does struggle in the end. But again, the carry from Timber opens up this dangerous scenario. It's genuinely very impressive that this season he's forcing himself to do these things. And that's all I've ever really wanted from him. And we can talk about his carrying, but his ability, not only here in terms of his position, which I want to talk about in a second actually, but also his quality 1v1 dribbling, pest resistant. I've shown you already examples of this, but look at this scenario. Look at how Anderson is pressed onto him and just look how he turns him inside out. It's just as simple as this. Like, he has that ability. He's on the right, then he's come inside. Now look what he does and opens up for himself. A lovely opportunity for him to play that pass into Noni Madueke. He's completely dribbled out of that scenario. But it doesn't just stop there with this new version of Jurrien Timber, because what he ends up doing is he runs and he attacks that space. See what I mean with this new version of Timber? He's already thinking forward. He doesn't just wait and look at what he's done. He tries to influence further, and that is genuinely such a positive thing. But, yep, we've done all the examples of Timber and his carrying, his passing, his crossing. Now let's look at his positioning, because it's genuinely intriguing, and it's all going to be from the West Ham game. That just shows you how much he's evolved, especially against these low mid blocks. Here he is in a position to take a shot at goal, and he's quite unlucky. But look at him. Jurrien Timber of old wouldn't even be influencing those areas, and I don't think this is a coaching thing whatsoever. I think it's more of an instinctive thing. He's working on his ability to find these spaces. Really, really love this one. And again, we can fast forward to another example. Jurrien Timber sort of in this space here, like, what is he doing here? We can talk about the freedom of Calafiori, but Timber is taking it on himself to find gaps. And this was actually after he carried the ball. You know, the example where I showed you where he carried against West Ham. He could have played it to Trossard wide or to Declan Rice's feet. He still stays in this zone. He's not thinking, can I get back into my defensive zone? Can I further influence this attack? Genuinely very, very good. Then we're moving again on to another example. And this is one where he's drilled it across, and I didn't show you this crossing example. But look where he is. This is the Saka area. And you look where Saka is. Saka's in a Timber area. So he's happy to ask those questions and to be in these areas to influence in the final third. And again, we can go into this example. It's just really astonishing in terms of Jurrien Timber and his positioning, because here, this is the one for the penalty. Martin Zubimendi is going to play that ball over into Jurrien Timber here. And look, Timber of old wouldn't even want to be anywhere near this area. But in the end, he's there. And what he does for us is he forces the issue and he wins us a penalty. Genuinely so impressed with Jurrien Timber this season. I think he's been phenomenal, and he's just asking so many questions in the final third. We always knew he was a great defender, but now we're seeing that he's a more than adequate quality attacking weapon to have.